Sorry. Hello and welcome to Get the Table. We are the Dadley Boys of WhatCulture. I'm Adam Wilbourn from WhatCulture. Joined by Michael Hamflett. Michael for WhatCulture. Discuss another burning wrestling issue. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube, where we do daily wrestling podcasts where we review Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. Dynamite, 8-a-week collision, pay-per-views, premium live events, we have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a roundup of the week, complete with a bloody good quiz, of course, on WrestleCulture. As you can see, was what I was doing there. I did a complete 180 because we're here to talk about wrestlers we did a complete 180 on. And I suppose before we get into our picks, the sort of kid list, Jay White, for this sort of thing was Ricochet. Was Ricochet in AEW, wasn't he? Because I think he's someone who we've always appreciated the in-ring talents of, but I think all of us were apprehensive about what a jump to All Elite Wrestling would look like for Ricochet. And initially we were like, this is exactly what he thought it was going to be. And he's transformed now into this brilliant heel character.
Indeed. Additional context. He might suck by the time this gets released because we are recording this in advance as part of wAcKy Summer substitute stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
Banked, pre-recorded podcast content. So this is part of that series. Ricochet blew my mind in AEW, genuinely. I can recall when it was all but happening and the reports from like SAP, maybe Meltzer, who knows, probably SAP, his contract is winding down. He doesn't want to renew. Where could he possibly go? Oh, it's always AEW. And that was my first, is he going to go to New Japan, make that halfway interesting for a month? No, he's going to go to All Elite Wrestling, famously short on professional wrestlers.
Short things up on the bench.
Do you know what I mean?
Just a massive cartoon, elongated bench. Loads of them.
There's loads of them. What does AEW desperately, urgently need? It needs more wrestlers. It needs more wrestlers who you've seen kind of what they can do. AEW, God, if they could just, oh my God, pray to the Lord above, if they could just sign one more wrestler who excels at the hybrid style with high spots in lengthy...
That's the difference, guys.
In lengthy back and forth matches that often begin with a moves stalemate standoff. For God, they don't have many bangers in AEW. Just if they could just get Ricochet in, all the problems are solved. I couldn't believe it. Like you sign people with name value. It's one of those. It's like, well, do you? Because you signed A B C D E F G H I J K L M, but O B Q R S T U V W X Y Z. And do they make any difference? And you sound like an asshole, a bad faith. Who's moving the needle?
You can put the whole stinking alphabet.
Who's moving the needle? They need stories and characters and not these short-term goddamn bangers. So I thought, all right, okay, well, you're making me sound like a bad faith podcaster for what I'm making a salient point here. And in the first 2 months, I feel validated because Ricochet, who is the guy or a guy who can wrestle a nice 20-minute, you want a 4.5 off Dave, you know what you got to do these days? Put on a pair of boots, right? It's not that hard. But if you want an old money Dave, quote unquote, great match, okay, you can get a Ricochet in, but they already had a million loads of them. And then Ricochet turns up, unbelievable debut, the backdrop, the vibes are immaculate. Casino Gauntlet, he's pretty great in the ring. And then he comes up on Dynamite wrestling. He has a match against, who is it? I wish I could remember. Is it Kyle Fletcher?
When are we talking? Like
August 2025 or September 2025. His first singles match in AEW. I believe it was against Kyle Fletcher.
Might have been.
Because I remember thinking, oh, hang on, Kyle Fletcher's better than him.
Yeah.
I remember the actual build as well. Ricochet was doing some kind of like stupid work shoot nonsense about, you're here to rehab your image while you're rubbish. I'm not rubbish, you're rubbish. I'm coming in here. A big
I remember
star.
him introducing Vertigo and it being a terrible idea.
Yeah, he introduces Vertigo. He's wearing flares. He looks like a slightly more mobile Christopher Daniels. The flares pissed me off big time.
Yeah.
I know what he was trying to do. You come into a new place, you make a gear tweak, modification. You want to stand out. You want to look. Don't remember the Ricochet who, was kind of doing nothing except work gentlemen's threes on Raw to little to no crowd reaction, and my star has just faded. I'm new. I've got flares. It's like Malibu Stacy hat Ricochet, It is Fletcher, isn't it?
It was, yeah.
I remember the interminable social media chat that they shared to build it. I remember thinking,
Oh, God, yeah.
oh, there's your double rotation moonsault, mate. Yeah, where's that gone? Because I want to see a better Ricochet than the guy who just looks like a pale imitation of your Ospreys and Omegas who've leveled up considerably while you've just been plateauing in the Fed. And then he has a couple more matches, and I'm thinking, oh, God. And then he has this big-ish built match with Will Ospreay on Dynamite 200?
The 5-year anniversary, I think.
Whatever. One of the big theme shows. And it's fine. It's not as it can't possibly feel as futuristic as their 2016 Bozj match, Best of the Super Juniors, because I mean, how many years? Oh, this is a great bit of me. All this, look at meeting that Bozj. And he has this match with Ospreay, and I'm thinking.
Really just thinking about watching the Best of Super Juniors every year. I think Will Ospreay's got a great chance this year. Bozj.
So I'm thinking, this is exactly how I thought it would be, and it's mid, and it's just a weird thing to have nostalgia for and bring back. Is what would be really special? The match that started what everyone's feeling ennui about. The expressly great pro wrestling match that's designed to be great, and it's very high spotty, and it's very athletically impressive, but guess what? It has been 7 years. And 2016 to 2025. Yeah. 8 years of, I'm bored of this now. What else you got? You got the same thing again. And I'm thinking, God almighty, I can't be arsed with this. And then there is a realization between fandom, promoter, and wrestler himself of, this is really boring and it's passé and it's just not new or original or effective in any way. And I think there's a very quick, hang on, this ain't working, let's pivot. And apparently Tony Khan don't pivot, but he did. I first fell in love with Ricochet, heel character, when the Hurt Syndicate were like, I know we offered you the card, but you're actually a jumped up little geek, and we'd rather kick your ass and have you join. So why don't you hit the bricks? And then I think this is the first time you go, he has this interview with Renee Paquette, and it's like, right, okay, they're just messing on. They're just messing me. It's just how we joke, And I'm like, he's turning heel, and this is amazing. I think he has a match with Brody King where he starts really stooging.
Yeah.
Again, more polluted words from.
So much so that I remember the feedback that week was like what are they doing? Like, this is not going to get him over as a babyface. Correct.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
And then he's so obnoxious in the best possible way. His promo skills are genuinely really funny, really strong. It's sorry, I know I'm in the wrong company here. A goddamn indictment of the Fed, the apparently character-based storytelling company that they didn't have. Basically, and maybe Ricochet might have pitched this, to be completely fair. And Levesque has went, I've already got an annoying little twat character in the best possible way, and that's Dominic Mysterio. Okay? You can't really do that because it's a bit too much. And then Ricochet continues to be funny. I'm still not wowed by him in the ring. He's in the C2. He has another match with Ospreay, which is just fine, but he's working out the kinks of this heel character. And then the true revelation, to the point where I'm thinking, go back to that a little bit, because now he's just basically cool, cocky, handsome, obnoxious. I loved the twist of, it's always the ones you least suspect, that quiet, mild-mannered person who can do something shockingly dangerous, and when they do it, it's like, I didn't expect that, but now that it's happened, it checks out. The guy who just gets bullied and taken the piss out of El Snapo, and he attacks Swerve Strickland with the scissors. I thought that is that is what hurt people.
Yep.
Like these bullies, tormented people will lash out in really horrifically violent fashion on occasion. I miss that about this Ricochet, but all in all, I couldn't fathom the idea of enjoying Ricochet in AEW. I actively dreaded this more of the same, not correcting any root problems, booking of, you can work some bangers. Ooh, Ricochet versus Claudio Castagnoli. It got hijacked with bald chants.
Yeah.
Because no one was interested in yet another sort of 3.5 good match, I guess, on Dynamite.
Yeah, there's quite an articulate protest wrapped in that.
I think so. Like, we're not interested in this.
Yeah.
We are not interested. If we cared enough, we wouldn't be trivializing what we're watching. We're just not that interested and would rather have fun. AEW crowds, they love to have fun. Sometimes. I
started wearing the suit and the glasses. Every aspect of the character he was working on by the week, wasn't he? To
it
to
looked
tie it all
like
together.
he wanted it and he was desperate to impress. And in the meantime, he took the risky, I guess, the prototype now. I know Kevin Owens was funnier earlier, and there's always been funny people on wrestling Twitter, but actually using it as a platform to flesh out your character and curry favor, the Becky Lynch template of I'm going to be class at Twitter for a little bit as well. Ricochet being exciting and funny. I just never thought I'd see the day. To the point where now that we're talking about it in July 31st, 2025, I'm half thinking, get back to that.
Yeah.
Because he's getting a little bit generic. A little bit generic at time of recording, to the point where I think we need that violent edge back. But you can build up to that when a big pay-per-view match demands it. But yeah, he's going now into that usual, we don't have anything for you. You can front a stable and we can meander, and you can say that one day you'll get gold because you're backed by a stable. They're doing a few too many AEW generic template booking patterns with him as we record, which is a slight concern, but an unbelievable run that I never thought would happen.
What's the first name that pops into your head, Michael Hamflett, when I talk about wrestlers you did a 180 on?
Do you want praise or do you want a complaint? Because I got one of each before we wrap this podcast.
I've been the positive guy because I might have used the other wAcKy Summer canned content basically as an excuse to moan and rant. So let's keep the theme going.
Spewing. Praising. I have praised this wrestler all year and maybe before that. So, but it's a huge 180 for all the time thinking never going to happen, never going to happen, never going to happen, never going to happen. Liv Morgan.
Yes, I agree with this.
I miss her as we record this. Probably done for 2025, and WWE is weaker for it. The women's division, which is really showing signs of life of late in WWE, is still weaker for her absence.
We're building the entire thing around it, and she warranted it.
Deservedly so. This is it. I don't think... So, my 180 on her does not reflect how long she was probably putting it together, but often that's the case. Often wrestlers sort of do it a little bit in the shadows, or you stop looking because you've assumed it's just never going to take. But it is really... It's relatively recent in contemporary terms. Now, 3 years may as well be 3 months in old money if you compare it to something like the Attitude Era. But it's only 3 years ago that they gave her that babyface title run where she was wrestling the likes of Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, kind of the biggest stinkers on the show. That feeling of, because she's already been a babyface, a heel, a babyface, a heel in a stable, a babyface, and every kind of thing you can try to do.
Her character of, I can do this, and then gets in the ring, she can't do it. That doesn't work. It's the opposite of works.
You're supposed to be at the top of the division, and there was this sense of nobody you go with is making this good. So not only are you not able to be that kind of champion that can be carried, but nor are you doing the ideal thing, which is using your experience to carry others. So you just think there will never be a place that fits. The moment where I think it was we're done, I have liked you, I've certainly appreciated you've been able to cultivate a fan base, but now I can no longer back the Liv Morgan project was the Becky Lynch run. Becky Lynch has had fantastic star-making feuds with so many people, post-2021
Tiffany and Lyra are the ones that spring to mind.
And I would certainly argue Bianca Belair, who didn't need it, but got... if you look at it on balance, if you get it to SummerSlam where she turns Becky babyface, I think they'd ultimately got there with each other.
I reckon a lot of months were wasted and they could have just been good from the jump there. But Regardless, Becky Lynch does have that credential.
And it's like, right, here we go, a 3-month Raw run against each other. It's not at the time of year where there's a great deal of pressure. It's kind of coming into the Royal Rumble. It means for Liv Morgan, well, WrestleMania is probably out for you this year, but make a good impression. And you know what happens? People get pushed after WrestleMania. Like, do something with Becky Lynch here. Make people make noise for you. Make people make noise for you in a Royal Rumble where even you're getting eliminated and you're doing your... She was often given a lot of time in Rumbles, but not making a good impression with them. So it was all, felt like it was all set up, even in defeat, to give her this platform and this window. They got main event of Raw, I think, and like it was certainly a big profile program. Becky Lynch is last before going up against Bianca at that year's WrestleMania. None of it took. The matches weren't very good. The promos weren't very believable. They looked levels apart. And then what the worst thing for Liv Morgan is you start assessing her and going, well, hang on. It's not like she's like this 5-minute brand new upstart. To your point about Lyra and Tiffany, they've not been at this like a couple of years. If you count NXT, she's coming up on like 8-9 years in the system. And I know the house shows have stopped and the reps get harder, but now we have to say it's just never going to take. And then I would say probably being given like a layoff through injury was the first, like we talk about this all the time, bit of weird good fortune.
Yeah.
Because it created this very deep lore with Rhea Ripley. They'd been tag team partners, but then when Rhea turns, it's a heel turn, so what? But a heel turn with an injury layoff and creating genuine sympathy. When she came back, those same fans that had loved her, she wasn't very good, came out for her just as loud because she was returning off the shelf.
That was social media noise to a degree.
It was. But you were feeling it in the buildings when she returned because the sympathy was finally there. She'd returned from this long-standing injury, and it was like, right, what's she going to do? What's she going to do? And this Rhea Ripley thing had a bit of weight to it. And Rhea Ripley was only going in one direction. Star. The Judgment Day were like firing on all cylinders. WWE was firing on all cylinders to the point where, well, if nothing else, you might be developing a bit of a career rival here, and that always helps. And then in 2024, when karma strikes in the weirdest way, and she inflicts the exact same injury on Rhea Ripley, like, I don't know if that was this sense of, God, I am locked in with this top star whenever they want to go back to it. Whether that was a security thing, whether that was the kind of safety that she'd never maybe experienced as a babyface or as a heel, it seemed to make her realize that it was okay to take a few more risks and to... Nobody really steps out of the rules within WWE. You are agent and had produced a lot more in WWE. But certainly for her, she'd probably never had the guts to do that. And yet she was involved now in a double injury blood feud with the women's division's biggest star and was then given the faith of lots and lots and lots of segments and promo time. Loads. So then you...
Loads of them.
Loads of them. And you can see it in WWE. You can, because it's so produced and managed, you can actually see when somebody is growing into themselves. Like, wrestling across the board requires performers to find themselves. That's any company, any other time. But it's especially, I think, visible in WWE because the truth is, even in the good WWE, even in the Triple H WWE, which I broadly like, you still have to find a bit of your own realism and voice outside of what they're giving you to say. Because the more you do that, the less they'll force you to say the words that might not sound like you, the more you'll be given trust. And like, you know, the Codys and the Punks and the Cenas and whatever, where then you can just start using your own voice. And that came through so much in that run with Dominic Mysterio. It was very clear. Annoying as it might have been, but suddenly you're a heel and it's okay for her to inflict that laugh on people. Like for Wedge Me to actually mean something rather than just, that was the sting on her entrance theme for years. What the hell did it ever mean?
Yeah.
Until all of a sudden it was like, oh, I get it. Right, you're this really obnoxious heel that does not care that you're taking out everybody's favourite and you're very much targeting stealing a boyfriend while you're at it. I know the storyline was divisive and I understand completely why, but I think you have to view it to a certain point in its own context, which is a very earnest attempt to capitalise on something and make a star out of Liv Morgan, who then absolutely levelled up, which is how you're always supposed to be as a wrestler. Who wants it, you know?
Who wants it?
Liv Morgan desperately wanted it, got it.
Who wants it?
Liv Morgan said,
I'll have it all.
Finally had it, and then it isn't always the most important piece of the puzzle in WWE, but the last piece of the puzzle was when it counted, can your matches at least be good? Great would be ideal.
Yeah.
Good would be fine because you are over. You are all the way over. So good will do, But if you can get great, then Jesus Christ, what have we got here? And then I think the SummerSlam title match was the moment. Her and Rhea Ripley opening a show in a stadium with a massive Judgment Day payoff. Like that, if you think about it now in hindsight, had quite a lot of pressure on it.
Yeah.
Knowing the payoff you were going to deliver, knowing what was going to happen to the future of the Judgment Day as we went from accidentally becoming beloved to street trash era. That was going to put Liv Morgan right at the front. She wrestled up to the opportunity. She continued to do so. She actually, I want to give her some credit here from the prior years. She reminded you that she was actually always quite good in the gimmicked up multi-women matches. She was always pretty good and game in something like a War Games or an Elimination Chamber because she would just take pretty hellacious bumps. You know, your big night, the Shayna Baszler night, it's Liv Morgan that gets her the most over because she brutalizes Liv Morgan. And there's a few of them where she's done that over the years. And then when you happen to becoming the most over wrestler on the show, putting in these great performances, Elimination Chamber 2025 will always be remembered for the John Cena heel turn. But in my heart, it'll be 1 and 1 here with Liv Morgan's one-woman show in that thing. She had to thread together this entire match featuring all these different wrestlers, kind of disparate parts as well, lots of different mini stories, and the shadow of the Jade Cargill, Naomi like turn, and Bianca Belair was going to win it. Liv wasn't even going to win it, but she had to be there for everybody's individual story. And I don't think that match sings without Liv Morgan. She suddenly becomes the glue. She suddenly becomes like a division MVP. And with that comes the trust. With that comes the, like, what's Liv Morgan doing at WrestleMania? And it was only a tag match, and it was there to facilitate Becky Lynch's return. But in WWE, it's great to be a facilitator. They will trust you. They will rely on you, and it will come back around. She's going to return as a massive babyface. She has gone off injured, and they are starting to build about 4 characters around her return. It must be such a show of faith to sit at home when, for a wrestler, you must feel so stressed and then watch Raw every week and be like, oh, great. Like, they're giving me a red carpet return.
They've made a shrine to me.
They're going to do my favorite thing in wrestling, which is characters that hate each other come together. At some point, her and Rhea Ripley are going to have to team, and the roof's going to come off the building for it. Like, it's really exciting to see what she's achieved as a heel, what can still be done as a babyface, and think, oh, you've got the matches as well. Class.
You could almost put everyone who's been in the Judgment Day in this category. Not necessarily everyone.
I did think about Finn Balor in that regard as well.
Balor, you can obviously put in there. I mean, Edge, technically, just the wrong way.
You're the wrong way around. You're the worst.
I love this bit so much.
I respect.
Stinks.
A lot more appreciation for like JD McDonough matches, for example, through his time in the Judgment Day. But like, yeah, Dominic Mysterio is another really obvious one because you two were there when it happened. The cock kick heard around the world.
Looks like a different human being.
Yeah. He left his trainer up Edge's gooch.
I know he's growing in the mullet and all the rest of it, but he still looks like a completely different human being.
He's another one when like they physically change the way he carries himself now of actually getting it versus, am I doing it? Am I wrestling?
I've mentioned I'm Rey Mysterio's son. My first one that I thought of was Nia Jax. Unsurprisingly, I think it's fair to say that not many of us were huge fans of hers first time around. Putting Lana through a table.
You like her especially.
Yeah. Putting Lana through a table was funny. Obviously, that was good stuff. But
lasted longer than Retribution.
The recklessness or however you want to call it, yeah. And then she goes away in 2021, something like that. Comes back a couple of years later.
I mean, she gets released.
Yeah. She
doesn't go away. She gets released from the family that is WWE.
Indeed. But she comes back.
And if you love family, you set them free.
And I don't think I can pinpoint.
Lots of them don't come back.
I'm not sure if I can pinpoint the exact moment, but certainly the Queen of the Ring final, I remember thinking, bloody hell, she's awesome. And now the proof of how much my opinion of her has changed is she popped up on my favorite show just this week, NXT. And I was like, yes, Nia Jax is here. And I could not picture myself saying that 4 years ago, for example. I think she's just got so much about her. And obviously, WWE have had faith in her on numerous occasions. I just think she delivers far more often. We often talk about the Tiffany TV matches that they had that were just sensational.
Nia Jax will never have this perfect record. She always has a stinker in it. But the difference now, I think, is that she, again, a lot of it is confidence. She wrestles or she performs, depending on what she's doing.
She's no longer phenomenally reckless.
Yeah.
Which helps.
I think she performs with such a confidence that she will wave away a really bad night and the next good night is just around the corner. And that's so different to the era where there was always an injury waiting, or there was always just a bad match, or just the inability to maybe make the most of the gifts that she had as a monster in this division.
The thing we most liked early on was a shoot fight she had with Charlotte Flair.
That's
basically
still hilarious, though.
Bizarre. Like, you watch it now, and you can scarcely believe it's happening mid-ring on a Raw, can you? They are just swinging punches at each other, like the double ease up. It's Vader, Ken Shamrock, but they're both Vader. Like, ease up. You ease up. I'll ease up just as hard, actually, if anything, Jeff. I will go into a Nia Jax match very much hoping that it's one of those great nights and I'll have a fun time with it. Like, she uses her, and this was such a problem the first time around. I used to love watching a Bayley or maybe a Sasha Banks work around Nia Jax's limitations as the monster. But we were they had to treat her like a monster in the same way wrestlers had to treat the great Khali as a monster. She was like, right, you got like 3 things, right, I'll work around those 3 things. And I just think she uses herself more now. It's like, this is meant as a compliment. She's far more like early days Giant/Big Show than Great Khali. Like, she knows she's got stuff and how to use that.
Annihilator is amazing.
Yeah, it's a great finish. And again, I think there's a lot of it's to do with confidence. A lot of it's to do with these things take so much longer. You just mentioned Nia Jax. I mentioned Liv Morgan. We're getting in the large end of like a decade nearly, because you have to do it in double the time with half the reps. You don't have and a lot of it you have to do on TV. So people, when you've had a bad night, it's not happened at a house show that nobody remembers. It's happened on Raw. I remember that stinker she had on Raw. It's the development is just so elongated compared to what it used to be. And I think Nia Jax, sort of by hook or by crook, has benefited from that.
I'm a low voter on Jax. I think she benefits from a curve. Like, she has gone from the most atrocious, reckless pro wrestler. She's always had that sort of like attitude that helps so much part of the wrestling package. The notoriety almost, where you can't not look at what she's going to do because it inevitably ends up in a news story. To go from that stunningly low bar to refreshing in the context of women's wrestling and broadly competent. I'm a low voter, but I will concede that there obviously has been a big reversal.
Who else have you gone 180 on, Sidge?
You know who I've gone 180 on.
Who's that?
You don't know who I've gone 180 on. You know.
I know. I think I know.
You don't know, though.
Oh, I don't know.
It's Marina Shafir, obviously. Honestly, I thought Marina Shafir was doomed.
Yeah.
In the way that a lot of AEW wrestlers are. It's a very pronounced in that women's division, and I've talked about it at length to the point where I'm boring myself. Of if you're an Anna Jay, you reach a ceiling and you cannot possibly improve any further. You don't get the reps, you don't get the consistent booking. You'll have your turn, they'll forget about you. Well, you know what? There's no they. We'll be specific. Tony Khan will forget about you or ignore you, neglect you. And then in 4 weeks, you can be the person who loses spirited matches to the person I'm pushing, and then on and on and on and on and on it goes. I thought Marina Shafir was doomed to enter, exit, that cycle. And I thought, yeah, it's nice that she's got credentials and a distinct working style, but it can often, if not always, present in an awkward styles clash. And if there are a core group of women who can learn how to work around you and resolve those chemistry issues, because she's very unique, well, you won't get the chance to do that because she's not going to be wrestling. I just thought she was doomed. And then Jon Moxley is the one that she's got presence, she's got something, let's do something with her. And I think he took the personal time to help train her, coach her, mentor her. And then he presumably just pitches, I want her in this new group that we're going to have, the Death Riders. Marina Shafir now, and a lot of this is to do with the fact that the intergender thing, which I think they've explored brilliantly, they haven't overdone it, is like a bit that they do. They've created these shock and awe moments of booking for really good dramatic effect. But part of what I'm about to say does come with the fact that, well, the baby faces more often than not aren't going to hit her back. But I think it's more than that. I look at Claudio Castagnoli and think, you got a good look. Your singles matches are boring. When you come in for the beatdowns, obviously it looks good. But I don't think anyone's like in danger. It doesn't really have any dramatic effect on me whatsoever. When Marina Shafir interferes, I think, they're screwed. Like, she's the game changer. It was Hamflett who points out how cool and progressive it is that when Marina Shafir rocks up on the scene in these Death Rider angles, the good ones, for 20% of its existence anyway. Oh God, the babyface is screwed.
Yeah,
can't do anything to her.
There's a bit of a China quality about the difference maker.
Yeah, and it's just it's a presence as well. She cut a promo that they should have put on Dynamite, not on Collision, the last TV show before All in Texas, where she grabs that microphone, stares dead down the lens, calls Hangman Page a pussy, and then spits her gum out. And I'm thinking, you are the hardest person in this company. You are the most fearsome person in this company. And I like as well how we talked about this not too long ago, so I won't talk too in too much depth about it. But she is part of that really cool cast of characters that I think separates AEW from any other promotion to this day, where they can have like supporting cast people who aren't necessarily managers, aren't necessarily wrestlers, but they've got something, so let's give them a role. And the heater that she has become, I think they've done a phenomenal job of preserving that aura, because again, she sort of sidesteps this broken talent development system that AEW has, and it just exacerbates all the time, because look at Private Party. If they didn't go on that ridiculous signing spree, AEW, they might have had the opportunities to get better and better and better, but they've never got the spots. She's completely circumvented that, and AEW's done a masterful job of not exposing that. I think I've thought she's not very good once during this run, and that was the Texas Tornado tag. She knew exactly where to be and what to do and how to carry herself and when to do it in Anarchy in the Arena. I thought she was fabulous, and I felt like such an arsehole, because I thought when they do these pairing off things in a 30-minute match, if she's going to be working 30 minutes with Willow Nightingale, that might be rough, and she was outstanding. Outstanding.
Part of the reason why you thought, Mox is losing it all in, was the moment she got taken out of the match.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Well, she can't get involved anymore because she's handcuffed to the deck.
Difference maker has been neutralized.
Yeah.
That's it.
That was when Swerve stepped in.
Yeah.
Like, that was when Swerve and Nana was like, well, what do we need to be across here? Her, probably.
Yeah, she's the she literally is the problem. It was this marketing nickname. Everyone's got one. Everyone gets one, whether it holds water or means anything or not. It's Matt. She became the problem.
Yeah.
Which is great.
On the topic of the Death Riders, I feel slightly reticent than I would have done 2 months ago saying this, but I have to mention Jon Moxley in this conversation, because, go back to the early days of AEW and listen to what we had to say about Jon and how much. And I think, again, he was arguably someone who we could have said at the start of AEW you were concerned about. When you heard that Dean Ambrose was going to AEW, or Dean Ambrose was going to New Japan, you were a bit like, I'm not sure.
We had a bit of fun with the escaping from prison vignettes.
We had a bit of fun with the escaping from prison. The second, and this was after Double or Nothing, so it was after his New Japan. To be honest, as soon as he did his entrance in New Japan.
It was the first Juice match.
I remember coming in the next day and you were like, change the jet. This is completely
because we used to use Moxley as the forum.
Yeah.
Just call him Dean Ambrose. He's been with the company for years now. Yeah. But like, and then it was like, Jon Moxley's back. Dean Ambrose can kiss my ass, actually. Like,
I wasn't so much. I was just very, what does this look like? I don't think I was, oh God, Ambrose in New Japan, Ambrose in AEW. I was more burying the idea of people automatically assuming it would be incredible because of his CZW highlight reel promo that did the rounds on virally on YouTube, He was just incredible from the jump.
So we loved him back, certainly in the early days of AEW and when he was world champion.
2019 G1 run. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But I have to say in recent months and years, I did a bit of a 180 on him. And I think I'm starting to do another one now, because I was a bit... with the Blackpool Combat Club, and the moment it became the Death Riders, and we've ranted enough about crime sprees and kidnapping the Rock and Roll Express.
Cat burglar.
I was not a happy bunny with Jon Moxley as world champion in 2025, without question, and was more than ready for anybody to take that title off him. Swerve, whether it be Ospreay or obviously as it ended up being the brilliant cathartic conclusion of Hangman Page. Now, I will say we are starting to see. I still think, personally, I want him to, again, we're recording this just off the back of the Dynamite where he's lost his rematch against Hangman Page for the world title. I think I want him to put over Darby Allin, and then I think, for me personally, he needs to go away for a while. I think you can do this transformation on telly. You've alluded to it on the Dynamite review literally today. I want him to go away, so I miss him a little bit. But certainly I don't have the feelings I had towards him a couple of months back, where I just resented him being on the television. And obviously, he's the world champion. He's going to be on most of the shows, but all the stuff he did, I think, like you say, by the end of the Death Rider storyline and the way it concluded, it salvaged a storyline that I thought was atrocious early on in
It was
AEW.
atrocious, but the guy's doing phenomenal work. It's gone from one extreme to the other for me. I actively resented him. I resented Tony Khan for accepting the pitch, because I spoke openly and at length about how I hate the fate of the company being the stakes. Just have it as a backdrop to do proper stuff, you know. But I don't want him to go away. I think he's doing absolutely amazing work. The only reason why I would want him to go away is I don't want him to do too many jobs. I don't want him to do too many jobs. I want him to lose to Darby, pay that off. He's done, like, mention that he's done Everest more on TV. Like, really build that up.
Yeah.
The only reason why I would want him to go away at this point, despite the fact that I think his work is genuinely fantastic, is just to preserve the aura. Not that I'm bored of him, but if he can lose to Darby and then go away, it's not because I'm bored of him or resent him. It's because it's like, I want to see a vengeful Mox return. I want to miss him. We're the same but different, I'm realizing. It's not because I'm worried it's going to go bad or I'm sick of him or he's been overexposed. I just think he's got something, but he needs to be a winner to hold on to it.
It's tricky with Moxley because I think I went off him first out of the three of us, but never as aggressively as you did in the Death Riders. So I just think I lost it with him because I lost it with the Blackpool Combat Club.
I hate the
Blackpool
quite early on
as well.
Combat Club.
Like, I was already sick of that vibe in wrestling. And then
We got the Utah match.
It was incredible.
And then they made it a gimmick with the Blackpool Combat Club. So it was that from very early on, that whole concept was on borrowed time with me. And it was something that, the problem was, the more Moxley actually loved something again, the more cross I got. Because I was like, don't love that. Love the things I want you to love. And that's not fair, right? That's a performer's right to want to do what they want to do. But, and this is in defense of Jon Moxley, we are talking about a Dynamite that is coming on 6 years old, and short of a brief break he took for his own health reasons, he's been pretty much at the top or near the top of that for the entire duration. Yeah. So as we've seen with WWE wrestlers and the churn that we're now, like, 6 years is long enough as a weekly TV show. You do come to the realization that it's very hard to stick with a wrestler full-blooded, like, love them, run through walls for them constantly when they're in the 52-week churn. It's more normal than not to go through periods where you start to tire of a wrestler if they're on your screen every week. Now, where I kind of always bristled a bit with Jon Moxley, or maybe some of Jon Moxley's supporters, is often because of something like the Punk situation, where he absolutely was the guy that the company desperately needed to pick it up on his shoulders in the short term, you know, or 2020 in the pandemic, where he was the out-and-out leader. Because of that reputation that he sometimes has, I think sometimes it was more ego than a lot of people were willing to admit. I think certain runs in Jon Moxley's time in AEW have been born out of his want to be the guy.
You said as much. You said, well, put the title on me then.
No, you can tell how much he rates himself. He just, like, he did oral sessions with his wife, the podcast Wilbourn. And he was I can't remember when it was recorded. Obviously, it was after 2020. Lamenting I always wanted that ball in WWE. I thought it could have been the guy. Then AEW, great, better fit for me. I just want to be the goddamn guy at the top of the card because that's what I think I can be. And then when he finally gets it, he can't draw the houses to sort of, like, you know, measure how good he is as the guy and all the rest of it. So he's always had that. Like, it was weird. He was part of that thing as well where, and because it was true 99 times out of 100, Vince McMahon can't promote people properly. He just can't do it. He just can't do it. He just can't do it. Whenever it would get sort of leaked or whispered, oh, you know, this person's got an attitude problem and it's not just us. Like, they're kind of hard to work with. Like CM Punk, Dean Ambrose, we're hardcore fans. We're thinking, oh no, they need to be tailored to. They're better. Their promos are better than the scripted writers. But again, you live through things, you learn through things, you should learn from it. Maybe there was an element of the aloof, sometimes lacking in motivation, Dean Ambrose. It wasn't just, they make him do stupid stuff, which I know, again, 99 times out of 100 true. But there was always that thing of like, he's very aloof. He's very difficult to work with. He can get moody if he doesn't like his material. And like, no, given what he was getting. Yeah. But that came to the fore a little bit in AEW where you can almost tell, he's checked out. He's not interested. And he's taking out his bad mood on us with some punishingly dull pro wrestling matches.
Yeah. But I will say the cool thing.
In which he wins.
He wins.
And then just has another one next week.
Yeah.
Let's give him the international title to justify the fact that he's very expensive and he wants to win and he wants to be hard. Mm-hmm. That was awful. That
I forgot about that. Yeah,
that was the nadia for me.
International title.
Early Death Riders was the nadia.
IWGP champion working weekly on AEW.
Oh god, that stunk.
Yeah, like there's quite a bit. But the thing about Jon Moxley is
it was the Bob Holly run. Why don't you give me the belt?
Yeah,
and then one, Jonathan. Now beat everybody.
But again, the churn and the WWE thing is it trains my brain at least to be like, I might not like you now, but I might like you. If I've loved you once, there's always a chance I'll love you again. And as we record this, unless he's massively blown it and creamed Darby Allin with another like DDT off the top rope and pin him, it's like, when's Darby going to win? Like, I think I can feel myself gravitating back towards him. I've loved him like pretty much from the main event of All In through to date. I'm kind of back starting to find myself with Jon Moxley again, and that's when a performer's been around long enough that you remember that loyalty and you remember what it was you loved in the first place, and it does sort of come back around again.
Who else you got?
Well, I'll take this one on loyalty. I'm wrong a lot, and I'm okay with that because I think often it's from a right place, which is wanting to be loyal and wanting to stick with people and wanting to be like, well, yeah, this is crap, but let me tell you why, because when it gets good, you're going to be buzzing. And
I've fed brain that.
Yeah. But 20 years and it happened. So
now it took 2 decades.
Just the 2 decades and it happened. I have become frustrated and alienated by the I can't say crap because he's not always crap. This is unfair. But really frustrated and alienated to the point where now, even when something good gets advertised, I'm kind of like, whatever. I feel affronted by Kazuchika Okada in 2025. When he came into AEW,
doesn't even say bitch funny anymore.
Nah, came into AEW
I was so defeated the way it was.
I know. I was on the defense squad for Okada.
Sidge pointed out, to make the point, I think, over and over again, just how impressive the heel turn and join up with the Young Bucks was across all, what it could have meant and represented across all of AEW, and especially because it was happening, in league with Will Ospreay coming in. It's made the most sense in the world to me to make him the comedic. We've signed the best wrestler in the world. We've also signed the best wrestler in the world. Well, that's a problem. Well, let's make one pretend he isn't the best wrestler in the world, while the other one is establishing himself as the best wrestler in the world. And then, poof, out of nowhere, this first guy reminds you that he's the best, and then you got 2 bests. That's good booking. That's good talent management, the whole deal. That was what I thought was exactly the plan. And then it's like, plan A, you've done it. Another guy I've kind of 180'd on. I've got 180'd from thinking Will Ospreay was just a guy that I could like but not love, to basically he's kind of AEW's Cody Rhodes in my mind, and I cannot wait to see him strapped and have the world given to him. So it's brilliant. That was a home run. The booking of Will Ospreay and the presentation and promotion of Will Ospreay as your next guy, capital G. Nailed it. Let's get on to the second bit of Okada. And then you're like, let's get on to the second bit of Okada. And then a number of matches present themselves in his future, and some of them are really good, and some of them are just fine. And drab, and I'm thinking, I don't even think Okada was actually clued in on this first plan. Somebody tell him that you're going to make it, and it's just...
Have they told him to turn it on? They have told him to turn it on, haven't they?
Yeah, and I'm purposely leaving out the Omega match here because I think they had so much pressure to compete against, and I will wait and let time be either kind or cruel to that match. And what
I need the second AEW match.
What they're going to do, because I think it's the start of the series, and I think let's see how that one plays out. But it was Sidge when we reviewed the Dynamite after All In, and I was like, Swerve and Okada, it's a pairing. They've got a belt. They've got shows to run. And then Sidge, very reasonably, was like, yeah, the first one wasn't so great, was it? And I was like, yeah, and that's going to happen with Okada quite a lot, is that he's going to wrestle people, and he's going to do it in these C2. So you're going to suddenly build up the catalogue of matches he's had in AEW and be reminded, yeah, that wasn't so great, was it? And just because he can turn it on, he doesn't more than he does. And I can't fault him having his money run, his on the beach run, his whatever. I just feel sad that I don't think like my loyalty to the idea of Kazuchika Okada is ever truly going to be rewarded in All Elite Wrestling. I think he's mostly done, and so are we, and you just have to enjoy the great nights when they're happening rather than necessarily look forward to them. I've said it a million times. I'd always rather anticipate, like, as long as I possibly can, and he's kind of stripped the ability to anticipate as Kazuchika Okada, and I feel sad about that.
Yeah, it's totally opponent dependent. I don't get excited. I get wary. A little bit sort of, I fret about an Okada match because I don't want to get excited about it because all too often he just doesn't feel like the Okada of old. The byproduct of that, and this is not good, you'd rather have it the other way around. You'd rather have the anticipation. I mean, come on, it's pro wrestling. Like, the idea is meant to be, get hyped about this. The byproduct is, it's such a wonderful surprise when you glimpse the Okada of old. Like, that Speedball match.
Bailey match,
one of my favorite matches of the year. Like, it's amazing watching it happen. I'd prefer to look forward to it, but it's a fool's errand at this point.
Anyone else we want to mention as this comes to a close?
Yeah, I just never thought I'd want to see Kota Ibushi wrestle again. I just thought he was completely pathetic.
It's not wrong.
You know, I think
Steve Austin left some great lines behind, didn't he?
I think you are completely pathetic. Like, oh my God, it was so sad. It was so bleak. Watching him try and perform, it was kind of like because wrestling is so weird and the schedule's a lot more forgiving. And a lot of wrestlers just tend to stay in the same promotion for ages and look the same. And you don't get anyone who looks like Arn Anderson anymore, who look like they're 40 when they're 22, right? Everyone
I think he retired at like 36.
It's weird. If you gave me that AEW roster, right, and that WWE roster, the two companies that exist, other than Nick Wayne, right, and, you know, 2021 Dominic Mysterio, right? And other than Goldberg and Sting, virtually everyone in men's singles wrestling looks the same age.
Yeah.
Give or take. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know the age difference between Grayson Waller and Cody Rhodes. Maybe we could, you know.
It's time to play the game! Time to play the game!
How old are Cody Rhodes and Grayson Waller, respectively? But while you look for that, I'll continue making my point because we are running out of time. Everyone looks like they could be 34.
Our sons have both made the same point about the grey in CM Punk's beard.
Yes.
There's one old guy and it's Punk because he's got a grey beard.
Yeah.
That's a kid's take, not like...
Every wrestler, whether it's through, I don't know, lifestyle changes or they all look the same age in men's wrestling in both promotions. So to see, you just don't see broken down anymore.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You don't really see broken down anymore. Watching Kota Ibushi be like, oh my God, Heroes of Wrestling exists and it's back. And Kota Ibushi form was genuinely, not only was it just bleak in and of itself, but you just don't see that anymore. Like, wrestlers can work, like, look, I mean, I don't like him. But Jericho in 2022, you're not meant to be able to go to that standard at that age with that many bumps on the clock. How's that happened? It's just a weird quirk.
I think we could do this podcast entirely on Chris Jericho's career.
Oh, God, I know. 180.
You remember, like, you couldn't make this out on television as much, but remember Wembo Bembo Ibushi, where, like, he was constantly, like, behind Omega and all the Golden Lovers spots. Keep up, Quora. They're doing, like, these quite intricate double spots, and he's like...
And it's not just the fact that he's... I mean, it's two matches, one a creditable effort against Trent and another like genuinely class match against Okada. So I'm not just saying he's back, but it's not just the fact that it happened, it's the nature of the comeback because the guy's a moron. We know this.
Yep.
He's a moron and he's taken some of the stupidest
People
bumps.
need to get him through airports, otherwise
yeah,
I know. And live there.
And
like Tom Hanks, the terminal, he would just live at the airport.
He's taken some of the stupidest bumps I've ever seen in my goddamn life. And then he came back, albeit for one match so far, and entered and I'm not saying he was just this dumbass high spot merchant. Like, you could obviously create these unbelievable layered, long epic, great storytelling matches. He's like a Premier League footballer of a wrestler, where it's like his brain is entirely dedicated to this one specific medium, and he's thick in everything else.
Kota Palmer.
But it was the elegance of that match that I could scarcely believe. I was fully expecting like some really ill-advised bumps, and then the rest of it through treacle. But it was just wonderful.
Yeah, I remember when Kota Ibushi was coming into AEW, and I don't think I'd watched barely any Kota Ibushi. Obviously, I'm very limited compared to you two, especially in my sort of wrestling knowledge. And you two were just you wait and see this. Where is it? He bumped himself after the match had finished or something. Then there was the bit on the bike. That was good stuff.
That was good stuff. But it was those kicks in blood and guts, man.
Yeah.
When you meant to be like, oh God, Ibushi, one of the best strikers in pro wrestling history. So quick, so explosive, so deadly. I can barely lift his leg, and they're bumping from like he's the honky tonk man, and you've got to on your indie show.
Yeah.
Well, oh my God, this is so sad.
Aye.
Any final honourable mentions? Because I've got one.
Go on, who's yours?
Karrion Kross.
Oh, I can't do this, man.
Not in terms necessarily of in-ring work, but in terms of how we received him. I remember shaved head, I'm going to kick everyone's ass. There was what was the match? Was it Ciampa that we actually liked with him in NXT?
A good one.
And then it was it was that period of NXT where the good match was one person leaving the match with a fractured jaw or something. And none of us were really on board with that era of NXT. A better one was soon to come, obviously. NXT, arguably, we could say, as a catch-all or something, we did a complete 180
That's true. Yeah.
But, yeah, he has that, and then he comes to the main roster as whatever Vince had him as, and then obviously goes away and comes back under Triple H. And even then, you're like, what else you got? Patter, it turns out, with the, was it the Miz? No, he's dead. Bit that possibly was
That was a turning point for him.
Yeah.
Final Testament.
I'm going to break your legs. I like that.
Yeah,
Everything else, I'm going to opt out. I can't.
I think
don't like him.
It's an honourable mention. He's not necessarily in there.
It's your opinion, and that's fine. I can't talk about him anymore.
Yeah.
That's the byproduct of this PSYOP campaign that you might have run.
Yeah, by the time this goes out, who knows what Karrion Kross is up to?
This is not like you two were way higher on him than I was, especially when we were covering him, not Karrion Kross, when we were covering him in...
What the hell are you talking about? Who the hell are you talking to?
Basically, it took me longer to get this guy than used to, and he was a 2021 NXT debutant that ultimately just about made it to the very, very top. It took me a little while to get on board with LA Knight.
Yeah.
Because I never really was other than the memeified stuff of his Impact run. I was like, I was just as much anybody else on the old Stone Cold Rock Austin kit, And then he rocked up in the CWC on like a pre-show.
Yeah.
And he'd come up with a name.
He forms a tag team with Ricky Starks, by the way. They're called the Rock and Rock Connection.
He had his 3-syllable name. It was the same but different. And there was definitely an energy of Triple H's figured out to win the Wednesday Night War. Like signing a 40-year-old whose best years might be behind him.
That was wild. It was like, I've signed everyone, but I only know how to do one thing.
Yeah.
And that's sign someone for a pop and have them work a takeover. So here's Eli Drake. Is this anything?
But it was really, really fun.
Yeah.
Getting on the hype train. It was the Cameron Grimes feud that like turned it around. And then, as we've talked about before, they could be 24 or 44. But if they've spent time in like the 2.0 of NXT, it's like, hey, the kid's graduated. And then you have this weird like sort of parental relationship with them on the main roster. And it's like, you need to give LA Knight a bit of a push because you won't believe what he's been doing on Tuesdays. Like,
thanks, Tuts.
We can conclude with the game that we promised earlier because we didn't do it. I almost forgot. So how do you want to do this? Do you want to guess the age difference between the two of them, or do you want to guess their ages?
I'm going to do it all at once, baby.
Okay, you go and then you go.
okay.
Cody Rhodes is 40 years old.
Retirement year.
Because I'm fairly certain. Oh, yes. Because I'm fairly certain he's an 85er and he's earlier than me. So I think he's 40 and I think Waller's 32.
I'll go
So an 8-year age difference.
Yeah.
I'll go 4 years younger then on Waller because I think you're right about Cody being an 85er. So I'll say he's 28.
Okay, well, I can tell you are spot on with Cody Rhodes.
Bingo!
Just like Michael Hamflett, he's 40 years old.
Best age.
30th of June, 1985, so you were correct. Grayson Bloody Waller, so you said 28, you said 32. You're both a fair way off. Grayson Waller is 35. So it's just a 5-year age difference, but that sort of nails your point that everyone's kind of the same age, really, aren't they?
Saints is 36.
Yeah.
Fools a lot of people out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, made it late to TV sort of thing for...
I think with Saints is he was never like PWG. It was like Texas promos, whereas at the time, when someone like him at that age profile would have got a look in NXT, it was like, have you worked a banger in PWG?
Yeah.
Because if you have, you're going to take over main event, buddy.
William Regal sort of peered at you through there, like the curtains of the cedar and like that.
And I'm Levesque, and I'll get the critical acclaim by proxy. Thank you very much.
Well, let's know, wrestlers, you did a complete 180.
Hey, William, as it pertains to Starksy, he's not going to get me a fruit basket on Reddit.
As it pertains to Reseda.
Let us know, wrestlers. You did a complete 180 on either in the comments or on X at WhatCulture WWE. Watch, they can follow all three of us. You can follow Michael Hamflett at
Michael Hamflett.
Follow Michael Sidgwick at
M. Sidgwick.
Follow me at Adam Wilbourn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. Make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcast from, for daily wrestling podcasts. For now, there's been Get the Table. My thanks to Michael Hamflett, to Michael Sidgwick. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.